Hi, and welcome to the track clinic on the influence of the peaking period. This would be the same information that would be presented at US TFCCA school, a specialist school, or a technical school, as well as any other state clinic that I might be invited to speak on the peaking period. Now, the outline of this presentation is similar to the outline of all my presentations. I present scientific theory. I go to the journals. I talk to the scientists. I present what I think is important scientific evidence that will apply to the specifics of what I'm speaking about, in this case peaking. Then I present case study evidence where the scientific theory is actually applied. Sometimes it's applied to my athletes and I present the evidence. Other times it's evidence, case study evidence I've pulled from other coaches or from the experimental write-ups or whatever. Then I follow that with some training design application, how you can take the scientific theory and evidence from the scientific theory to apply it to your own program. And maybe add a few key workouts here or there. I'm not a big presenter in these 1 hour formats of just rattling off a whole cookbook full of workouts for you. I think people that watch this generally have a pretty good idea of what type of workouts and what style of coach they are, and that's why you are successful, and that's why you're motivated to watch a program such as this. But I do show examples of workouts at the end just as an application process. And I follow that up with a conclusion. As I said, normally this would be a question and answer period following a PowerPoint presentation such as I'm giving you. Not available in this case, so I'll just conclude it with some remarks that may cover questions that would be in your mind. The peak is many things. We call it multi-variate. There's just lots of variables involved. You've got to do a number of things, and some take a very short amount of time to reach fruition on. Others take long periods of time. The aerobic system, for example, takes much longer to reach a peak than the anaerobic system does. You need to know those time frames. You need to know how long those things take. Then you need to know how you can stimulate them once they have reached their full capacity. First of all, if you look at your season, it's in an entirety. What kind of improvement can you expect from your athletes season to season? For a high school, or maybe Division III college to Division II college, I think you can expect around a 5 to 6% improvement during a full season of training. So assuming you've got the full amount of time, and we'll define that as somewhere between 12 and 18 weeks, maybe a 5 to 6% improvement if you did a pre-test, pre-race on the first day of practice and a post-test or a post-race on the last day of the season in any certain event, the event you were concentrating on. I think you could expect somewhere around a 5 to 6% improvement. Now, how much would come out of that peaking period? At most 2%. I always kind of point out that the literature says if you get a 1% improvement over the peaking period, you should be happy as a coach. At 2%, you should be jubilant. More than 2%, and you shouldn't be jubilant. More than 2% indicates you must have done something wrong in the period of time that you were training the athlete, not regarding the peaking period. In other words, the athlete is now just getting into shape, or you did some training stimulus at the wrong part of the season, or the athlete didn't run enough in the off season and they're just now getting into shape. It's usually a different factor if you're more than 2%. So roughly, I'm just going to give you a guideline of expect about a 6% improvement for a high school runner during a training season, of which 1 to 2% should come out of the peak. Now, planning the peaking period as the coach, how's it going to fit into your training theory, into the macrocycle plan that you've set up for each of your athletes? Well, as you put workouts together for this peaking period, it will be a switch from efficiency work to capacity work. And that's just not different words, it's actually different ideas. Efficiency work is something done over and over and over in order for you to become accomplished at that skill, whereas capacity work is something that's done one or twice but done extremely well. Now that's a change from interval runs to repetition runs. Scientists consider interval runs kind of a real incomplete level of rest in between bouts of work, whereas repetition runs is a near complete rest period leading up to the next bout of work, if there is another bout of work. So doing 8 by 400 with 3 minutes rest would be an interval run. Doing 2 by 400 with 15 minutes of rest would be a repetition run.